I'm sorry to disappoint you, but no, the Switch 2 is not coming in 2024. Let's go through a number of the reasons why this is not happening. And I don't want to take the air out of anyone's balloon here. I'm excited about the Switch 2, and I'll talk about that in a little bit here. But of course, the rumors over the past few days have been, oh, Nintendo is about to make a major announcement before the holidays, and we're going to see the Switch 2, and we got a big announcement from Nintendo about backwards compatibility and all that. But no. So let me just lay it out right here for you right now. Sadly, no, we are not going to see a Switch 2 in this calendar year in 2024. And frankly, I don't know if we're going to see it at the beginning of 2025. I know a lot of people picking March as a release date, a possibility, perhaps. But we'll have to see. I would like to see that, but Nintendo is still selling millions of units, and yes, they've slowed down considerably, but they could even go through the fall of 2025. Yes, we could see an August into September announcement, Apple style, you know, at the beginning of September for the launch of their new iPhone. So we could even wait until the fall to see a Switch 2, but I hope not. But let's talk about 2024 and why no. We're not going to see it in time for Christmas. So if you're sort of holding back and wondering, you know, should I wait to buy my son or daughter this game or that thing because there's going to be a Switch 2 before, you know, Black Friday, it's not going to happen. So let's talk about the holiday shopping season specifically, and by November, the number one reason why you're not going to see it is that most companies have already launched their fall lineup of products, because Black Friday deals and sales and all of those things really kick off after Halloween or even before Halloween now. So if you're a company that's about to launch a product, to get yourself into that holiday shelf space has to already be occurring, has to have already been happening. You're not going to launch something in the middle or late November in time for, for Christmas. It's absolutely not going to happen. You have Hanukkah, of course, earlier in the season, and then you have Christmas, but you have Black Friday sales and everything else. So just the holiday calendar on its own is not going to happen. Now, it's very fascinating because I've covered a lot of these companies over the years, and a lot of times they really want to get their big releases done before even Halloween. You know, Apple recently just launched their new Mac Mini. They launched their new iPad Mini. And then, of course, back in September, they launched their new iPhones. You have a number of big companies launching some big products here in middle of October, before November even hits. There's a method to that madness, and it's all about making sure that those products are in production and can get on store shelves in time for the holidays. Waiting in deep into November is not going to happen, and it's certainly not going to happen for Nintendo launching a major new console like this. The other reason is that you're competing with holiday ads. So just so you know how television works and television ads and even print newspapers, magazines, and so forth, you work in 13-week flights. So if you're a company, you're buying ad space for 13 weeks and you're doing it in that chunk, okay? You're not going to wait till the middle to late November to decide to call up, you know, CBS News or ABC and ask them to buy ad space going into the Christmas season. Those ads are already sold. Google has already bought those ads. Samsung has bought those ads. Apple has bought those ads. They bought them weeks and weeks ago for their holiday schedule. Those are off the books. Those are off the table. So Nintendo's not going to swoop in and they're going to find out there's no ad space available. And magazines, of course, operate months in advance for their advertisements in those publications. So again, you would literally launch a Nintendo Switch 2 with no advertising on television. Yeah, you might have YouTube advertising. That's great. You can get those up pretty quickly. But I'm talking national television campaigns, done. 13-week flights, you're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. Another big reason is supply chain constraints. November marks the tail end of the production cycle for the holiday inventory, and a major release could strain those supply chains. So again, you're going to really try to tax the supply chain right before the Christmas season in order to push out a major new product. And again, all of these things are tied to leaks too. Remember, the biggest leaks that we see come from the supply chain. And if we did by this time, we would have major leaks for the Nintendo Switch. We probably would know exactly what it looks like. We would even know what the packaging looks like. All of that we would know by now, because that's where the leaks come from. They come from the supply chain. They don't come from Nintendo headquarters. They come from the people actually building and putting these things together in the factories. That's how it happens all the time. That's where we get the leaks. Also, if Nintendo had been already lined up to buy advertising space in newspaper publications, magazine publications, and television advertising, we also would see leaks from that particular bit of advertising. You think that they're going to send commercials to the television stations before they actually announce this device? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Sorry. The other big thing to focus on is the end of the fiscal year. These companies want to wrap up their fiscal year. They all do by December. Okay, so the launch of a new product, they save major announcements and major launches for the start of the next fiscal year. Remember, after all, these are public companies to benefit shareholders. And so by pushing this thing out at the end of the year and then dividing the success of that product within a calendar year, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. So most companies will wait, wrap up their calendar year if there's no big launch happening, and then launch that device in the next fiscal calendar year. Remember that CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, is at the early part of January. That's when a lot of companies are announcing their products for the first time. They're holding off, not announcing them during the holiday season. They're waiting till January to let you know that these products are coming out in 2025. Now, Nintendo is probably not going to go to the Consumer Electronics Show. I know a lot of major companies don't go there anymore, but a lot do. But again, the reason CES sits in January is exactly for that purpose. It's the launch of the new calendar year, the new fiscal year. So no Nintendo Switch 2 in 2024. I'll stake my reputation on it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope next week we get an announcement from Nintendo, but we're not. But we did get a nice announcement the other day on Election Day in the United States. We were doing live election coverage on my other channel, and it was absolutely crazy, of course. And then Furukawa from Nintendo made an announcement about backwards compatibility for the Nintendo Switch 2, that yes, it will play your Nintendo Switch 1 cartridges. And first of all, we knew this was coming. But to hear it right out of his mouth, it's so exciting, because I've already said I think the Nintendo Switch is the greatest console of all time, in my opinion. To me, it's the ultimate JRPG. It's the ultimate RPG machine with this huge library of role-playing games that are available. And now the Switch 2 becomes the greatest RPG console of all time. You get this full backwards compatibility with all of the old games, okay, and all of the new games that are going to launch on this system. And I can't wait to see what comes next. You know, will we see another Fire Emblem game? Yes, I'm sure we will. And very exciting to see what that will look like on a Switch 2. I mean, maybe a new Xenoblade game. We know that Xenoblade X is coming, of course, but like maybe a new Xenoblade 4. Who knows, right? Who knows what we'll see on the Nintendo Switch. It'll be amazing to see some of these big game launches, these big RPGs that have made it on PC and the PS5 and Xbox, to come over to the Switch as well. Some of these beefier games like a Baldur's Gate 3 or something like that. So I really believe the Switch 2 is going to be the ultimate RPG, JRPG machine. And now with this backwards compatibility, I'm just so excited about it. And I've made a whole video about really what I, am expecting and hoping. And, as I mentioned before, Nintendo seems to have drifted away from these gimmicks, where every launch of a new machine had some sort of a new gimmick. And I think they've learned their lesson on this, that the Nintendo Switch is such a monumental success that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just improve upon it. And I know I come back to some of the giants in the tech space a lot. I mention Apple a lot because, well, you have really arguably the most successful electronics company in the world in Apple. And when Apple releases a new iPhone every year, they don't totally reinvent the wheel. They make incremental upgrades, and they sell millions of those iPhones. A new camera, they increase the speed and efficiency, maybe the screen is better, it has better water resistance, those types of things, better processing power, graphics processing power, all of those things, right? So they make incremental upgrades. It's not a totally night and day difference on these devices. Same with like the Apple Watch. Maybe it's thinner, it's a bigger screen, it's more legible text, the screen stays on all the time. There are all these like little upgrades, but they're not reinventing the wheel each time. And yes, we've waited 7 years for a new Switch, but again, they don't need to create some gimmick here. Just come out with a Nintendo Switch 2 that just improves upon the first one in little ways. Better Joy-Cons. We're hearing magnetic attachments for the Joy-Cons. That's great. Yes, maybe a slightly larger screen. My eyes have gotten a little worse for the wear in my older age. And, you know, playing games like on that OLED screen are beautiful, but like Kirby in the Forgotten Land, for instance, when you're playing that game, you get this like little tiny Kirby on the screen, and it's a little hard to see unless it's in docked mode. So just even having that slightly larger screen in your hand would be fantastic for some of those types of games, even like the next Mario Odyssey game and all of that. I just think it really would help in handheld mode to have just a larger screen. And frankly, beyond that, I just want, you know, faster, better processing power to handle some of these beefier games. That's all I want. That's all I really want from this device. Yeah, better Bluetooth connectivity, better Wi-Fi connectivity, all of those things. But all of those things come with just, you know, enhancements after 8 years of technical achievements. So yes, that's what I'm excited for. And in the spring, I hope it comes in March, because I have to say February and March for me are like the two lamest months of the year, aren't they? Right? January also, really, but we get through the holidays. I love the holidays. And then we get in this like post-holiday doldrums. You know, you got Valentine's Day in there, which I'm not a 3-year-old, so I don't care about Valentine's Day. And then you get this like lull. There's like nothing to look forward to in January, February, and March. So yeah, give me a Switch 2 while it's freezing outside and it's still snowing, and the leaves haven't started growing yet, and we're still freezing. Give me a Nintendo Switch 2 in March. I would love you, Nintendo. I would love you for it. Anyway, let me know, guys. Do you disagree with me? Do you think we're going to see a Switch 2 in 2024? Or do you agree with my assessment of all of the things that I've laid out here today? I could talk about the Switch 2 all day long because I'm super excited about it. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for subscribing. I love the community that we've built here. I really do. I love all the feedback. I love reading all of your comments. And I try to interact with all of your comments as much as I can, as much as time will allow. I have 3 kids and a job, so I try to do that. But thank you guys for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.